You're lying in bed, your body is safe, but your mind is in turmoil. It replays yesterday's awkward conversation, making you feel shame again and again. Then it switches to tomorrow's meeting, rehearsing dozens of failed scenarios. Physically, you are here, but you're living in events that no longer exist or haven't happened yet. This video is a guide to escaping this mental prison, and we will prove that both your past and your future are simply hallucinations happening right now. If the past is merely a memory and the future is imagination, why do we allow these illusions to control our only reality? The present moment. Why do we voluntarily give almost all our energy to something that doesn't exist? This isn't just a pretty statistic. A Harvard University study by Matt Killingsworth and Daniel Gilbert showed that our minds wander to thoughts of the past or future for nearly 47% of our waking hours. We spend half our lives not physically present. In this video, we will answer this question and, more importantly, learn how to reclaim that energy. In the next 10 minutes, you will learn about the neurobiological glitch that causes our brains to get stuck in the past and future, the shocking effect of memory reconsolidation, which proves you don't remember your past as it truly was, and a simple tool that allows you to reset an anxious future simulation in 30 seconds. Enough theory. To understand how to escape the trap, you must first see its mechanism. And this mechanism is built into the very architecture of our brain. It's called the simulator brain, and it's working non-stop, even right now as you watch this video. Imagine your brain isn't a video camera passively recording the world, but a super powerful flight simulator. It uses data from past flights, your memories, to constantly run simulations of future routes and potential crashes, 24/7. Let's understand how it's structured. This simulator brain is both our best friend and our worst enemy. It allowed us to survive as a species, but in the modern world, it has become an infinite anxiety generator. The chief engineer of this simulator is located in your prefrontal cortex. It's a kind of CEO for your brain. But instead of being a wise strategist, it often turns into a paranoid micromanager who replays the same negative scenarios, burning company resources. And now we'll see which specific part is responsible for this. Contrary to popular belief, the brain's main task isn't to see the world, but to predict it. It constantly builds models of reality based on past experience to anticipate what will happen next. Neuroscientist Lisa Feldman Barrett calls this the predictive brain. Your brain doesn't react to the world, it constructs it. What you see now isn't reality, but your brain's best guess about reality based on the past. Your past is the database for these predictions. Your future is the simulations it generates. The problem is that we've started to confuse simulation with reality. This process has a name, the default mode network, or DMN. This is a neural network that activates when you're not focused on a specific task. It's what carries you away into memories and dreams. This network was discovered by neurologist Marcus Reichel when he found a paradox. The brain in a resting state consumed almost as much energy as when solving tasks. It turned out that rest is an illusion. In reality, at that moment your internal director switches on, filming movies about the past and future. It's an autopilot leading straight to anxiety. Let's do an experiment. Right now, as you listen to my voice, where is your mind? Are you 100% here, analyzing the information? Or has your DMN already pulled you into thoughts about what you need to do after this video? Just notice it. This moment of awareness is the first step toward control. These simulations are incredibly costly. The DMN is one of the most energy-intensive systems in the brain. Your brain weighs about 2% of your body mass but consumes 20% of all energy. The DMN is the main culprit for this expenditure in a resting state. It's like your laptop in sleep mode continuing to render complex 3D graphics, draining the battery. This is why you can feel completely exhausted after a day full of anxious thoughts, even if you did nothing physically. You are literally burning calories, rendering movies about non-existent events. For your brain, there isn't much difference between a real event and its vivid simulation. When you replay a future failure in your head, your nervous system reacts almost as if it were happening for real. Cortisol is released, and your heart rate increases. This is confirmed by famous studies where athletes were asked to simply mentally visualize their workouts. The group that only thought about scoring free throws showed almost the same increase in accuracy as the group that trained physically. Your brain builds muscles for failure when you simulate it. You make your body suffer for something that doesn't exist. So the brain is easily fooled by simulations of the future. But what does it do with the past? The answer will shock you. It doesn't just recall it from an archive, it reinvents it every single time. And we'll now see how this process distorts your entire autobiography. We're used to thinking of memory as a video camera that accurately records events. This is a fundamental mistake. Memory is not an archive. It's a constructor. It's more like a Wikipedia page than a hard drive. Each time you recall something, you're not just reading an article, you're opening it in edit mode, and your current mood, beliefs, and even accidentally overheard words can introduce changes to this article before you click save. Every time you remember, you modify. This process is called reconsolidation. When you retrieve a memory, it becomes plastic, vulnerable. At this moment, it's influenced by new knowledge and the words you use to describe it. Then it's saved back, but in an altered form. On a biological level, when a memory is retrieved, the protein connections between the neurons that encode it literally melt for a moment. And in this moment of vulnerability, they can be altered and strengthened with new information. Your most shameful memory becomes slightly more shameful on a physical level each time you recall it. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus, in her experiments, was able to implant detailed false memories in people about getting lost in a shopping mall as children, even though it never happened. This proves how unreliable our past experience is. Most of what you consider your unshakable history is an edited draft. Your past isn't what happened to you. It's what you remember now. Imagine your most painful memory. Now imagine it's not a documentary you're rewatching, but a story you're telling yourself. In psychology, this is called narrative identity. We are not a collection of facts from the past, but the story we've woven from those facts. And each time, you unconsciously add more drama to it, making yourself either a greater hero or a greater victim. It's not what happened. It's the story you've constructed about what happened. We've understood. The past is an editable file that poisons our present. But what about the future? It hasn't been written yet. Or has our brain already created a rigid script for it that we are doomed to follow? Now, we will dissect the main tool of anxiety. The ability to simulate the future is our greatest evolutionary advantage. A brain that could play out a scenario in its head like, if I go to the river along this path, a predator might be waiting there, belong to a survivor. But in a world where we're not threatened by saber-toothed tigers, this mechanism shifted to social threats. What will they think of me? What if I fail? An ancient survival tool transformed into a modern instrument of self-torment. Anxiety is when the brain gets stuck in a cycle of negative simulations. It creates detailed, vivid, emotionally charged trailers for disaster movies that will never be released. Harvard psychologist Daniel Gilbert calls this the effective forecasting error. We systematically overestimate the duration and intensity of our future negative emotions. The brain predicts total catastrophe, even though reality almost always turns out to be much milder. Your body reacts to these trailers as if it's watching the actual movie, triggering a fight or flight response without a real threat. Let's call this the disaster trailer effect. Your brain is a Hollywood director who loves making blockbusters about your failures. It shows you the most dramatic moments, adds tense music in the form of a racing heartbeat, and makes you believe that this is reality. How to break this cycle? Use logic against emotions. Instead of asking, what could go wrong? Ask a different question. Okay, let's imagine that a year from now, this project has completely failed. Describe the specific steps and events that led to this outcome. This technique is a modern version of the ancient Stoic practice of premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. Stoics, like Seneca, did this not to panic, but to transform vague fear into a concrete list of problems that could be addressed. This approach switches the brain from panic mode to analyst mode. It seeks causes, not just scary images. We've learned to disarm future simulations and understood that the past is a fabrication. But where is reality then? The answer is simpler and more complex than you think. It's literally in your five senses. And now we will learn how to return to it. We perceive time as a river flowing from the past into the future. But from a physics perspective, this is an illusion. Theoretical physicist Carlo Rovelli argues that there is no fundamental flow of time. There are only events. Past, present, and future are constructs of our brain, which tries to organize them. There is only one infinitely short frame, now. Everything else is mental projections superimposed on this frame. Your past and future exist nowhere but in the neural networks of your brain, right this second. How do you access this now? The only way is through direct sensory data. The sound you hear, the image before your eyes, the feeling of clothes on your skin. This is only happening now. The brain has two competing networks, the DMN, that very network of illusions, and the task-positive network, which activates when you focus on the external world. They work in antiphase. When one is active, the other is suppressed. By focusing on your senses, you literally switch off the neural network that generates anxiety. Your senses are a portal to the only existing reality. When you're overwhelmed by anxiety from future simulations or regret from past reconstructions, perform this forced grounding exercise. Mentally name 5 things you see, 4 things you can touch, 3 sounds you hear, 2 smells you detect, 1 taste. This isn't esotericism. It's a powerful technique from cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, designed to help with panic attacks and PTSD. This exercise forcibly pulls your brain out of the DMN and returns it to sensory reality. Let's do this right now. Don't pause. Just mentally name 1 thing you see in your room and 1 sound you hear, besides my voice. Did you feel it? That's a split second of pure present. A few seconds ago, your mind was in an illusion of the future or past, and now you are here, in reality. The goal isn't to stop thoughts. That's impossible. The goal is to realize that you are not your thoughts. You are the consciousness that observes them. Use a simple metaphor. Your thoughts are clouds, and you are the sky. Clouds of worries, regrets, and plans come and go, change shape, sometimes covering the entire sky. But the sky always remains unchanged, clear, and spacious behind them. Grounding techniques create a gap in the flow of simulations. In this gap, there is neither past nor future. There is only pure being, and the more often you look into it, the weaker the power of illusions becomes. Mastering this gap is a superpower. But how do you turn this knowledge into a daily practice, not just an interesting fact? I've condensed all the key ideas from this video into a simple 3-step protocol for emergency situations, which you can use at any moment. No philosophy. This is a pure algorithm. The next time you feel like you're drowning in regret or anxiety, follow these 3 steps. Save them, write them down, memorize them. The first step is to detach from the thought. As soon as you catch yourself in an anxious loop, say to yourself or aloud, "This is a simulation of the future," or "This is a reconstruction of the past." In acceptance and commitment therapy, a CT, this is called cognitive diffusion. You don't merge with the thought, you observe it from the outside. To name a phenomenon is to stop being it and become its observer. You are not an anxious person. You are a person who currently has an active anxiety simulation. Immediately after, use a physical anchor. You don't need to do the full 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 exercise. Choose something simple and single. For example, concentrate on the sensation of your feet on the floor for 3 full inhales and exhales. Or clench and unclench your fist, feeling the muscle tension. This works because you redirect neural resources. You literally take processing power away from the prefrontal cortex, where the simulation resides, and give it to the somatosensory cortex, which is responsible for bodily sensations. This is a forced return to the here and now. Illusion thrives in inaction. Break the loop with 1 simple physical action. Don't think about it, just do it. Stand up and stretch. Drink a glass of water. Write down the thought that's tormenting you on paper to get it out of your head. This is the principle of behavioral activation. Often we wait for motivation to start acting, but with anxiety, it's the opposite. Action precedes a change in state. Any action switches the brain from simulation mode to execution mode. Now for the main question for you. Which is a stronger trap for you? Regrets about the past or anxiety about the future? Write just one word in the comments. Past or future. Let's see which illusion most of us get stuck in more often. Thank you for watching. Remember, your attention is the only resource you have. Don't waste it on movies about things that don't exist. Return to reality. It's happening right now.